Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us for today's update. I'm pleased to be joined this afternoon by our City Council member, Jennifer Campbell, who we're going to hear from in just a second, Maya Rosas, who is Policy Director for Circulate San Diego. Andy Hanshaw will be joining us virtually, and Andy is Chair of our city's Mobility Board. And we also have Matthew Vasilakis, who is Co-Director of Policy for the Climate Action Campaign. First and foremost, thank you, San Diego. Thank you for making the progress that we are making together on curbing the spread of this virus. Let's continue to do everything we are doing, particularly that physical distancing. Let's keep this progress going, particularly as we know, because the stay-at-home order is still in place. It has not been lifted at this time. So everything that we are continuing to doing as reminders, important, important, important. Washing the hands with warm soap and water, not just for a second, but for 20 seconds. The physical distancing, it has been very good. Again this week at our neighborhood parks, our lifeguards and our police officers are out there at the beaches. Thank you for doing what you are doing. This weekend will be a particularly important test that I know we will pass because we will do the right thing on the beaches, but I'll be talking more about that on Thursday and Friday. A reminder of the face coverings, particularly if you leave your place, cover your face, of course, and if you're feeling ill at all, stay home. Today, just a couple of updates, and really introducing a new pilot program called Slow Streets that will create more space outside your place for more and more San Diegans to walk and get outside while maintaining that proper physical distance. I should say walk and bike. And as usual, I will be highlighting the great works that San Diegans are doing, willing to step up to help everybody. So on the topic one, really a unique opportunity. As we continue to work together to beat back COVID-19, we have talked a lot recently about how do we adapt to this new normal for the time being. Things like physical distancing, wearing facial coverings, and staying classy by not gathering at beaches and parks. And so we've really been trying to think of how do we rethink that daily routine. And so today we are introducing a new pilot program to create more space outside of your place. People are excited, of course, to get outside, to stretch their legs, and to experience the outdoors, particularly after these last several weeks. Everybody's feeling cooped up. I understand that and I know it. So as we began last week with turning that dial to open up particularly our neighborhood parks to limited use. We did the same, of course, for beaches and bays and the oceans. And we know it's working. We also know there's a need for even more. Some areas we are seeing over 1,000 pedestrian trips per day. More people are walking around. This means that people need more room to physically walk around. So what this pilot program is about is to create more areas outside of confined spaces so people can walk and bike while still keeping at least 6 feet apart. We're seeing this in cities across the country. It's called the Slow Streets Movement. So starting tomorrow, San Diego will be starting a pilot project, opening up parts of streets so people have more room to walk by limiting vehicular traffic on certain selected roads. We will also be reopening commuter bikeways to help essential workers get to work faster and more efficiently. We will be upgrading our crosswalk infrastructure with new, larger signal buttons that you can press with your elbow or arm so you don't have to use your hands or fingers during this pandemic. I would say thank you to all of the council members that have been excited to launch this pilot project. We are going to start with a few select streets that council members have identified in their council districts. And I will continue to outreach with each council member to see if we can work in other streets throughout the city. We're going to be updating our website tomorrow with a list of all of the changes we're making, including the slow streets that we've already selected. You can go to the website, of course, at sandiego.gov/coronavirus. These changes, I think, are going to help what we're continuing to do, which is to methodically reopen our city in a safe and responsible manner. But we know we can't do this alone. So we're asking all San Diegans to be a part of this solution by paying attention to the road, and to the traffic rules. But before I conclude, I wanted to thank everybody who provided input and played a role in the development of this pilot project, including Maya with Circulate San Diego, Andy with the city's mobility board, Nicole and Matthew with the Climate Action Campaign, and the city's sustainability, transportation, and stormwater and planning departments for all of their work. Thank you for your ideas. Thank you for helping us to create this more space outside your place. And now with that, it's my pleasure to introduce a council member, Jen Campbell, who represents a fantastic district that I know a lot about, having represented it myself one day back on the city council, to talk more about this pilot program. Councilmember Campbell.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Faulkner, for having me today for this announcement in regard to providing some further space for people who are staying in place to be able to get out and walk, run, or bike away from large crowds. First, I want to say that this has been an enormously difficult time for all of us. My heart goes out to all those who have lost loved ones way too soon. I also want to thank everyone who has kept our city moving along during this pandemic. We've had tough times before here in San Diego, but we've overcome them, and I know we will overcome them this time as well. And despite the terrible negatives that COVID-19 has had on San Diego, as chair of the Environment Committee, I can share that we have some environmental silver linings worth recognizing. Air quality numbers have shown significant improvements in air quality due to record low emissions from reduced vehicle travel. We're seeing families, neighbors, and residents utilizing our roads and sidewalks like never before. Getting outdoors is a great way to work on your mental and physical fitness. They're staying out of their cars and enjoying our neighborhoods. With the weather getting better and people restless with staying in, we're seeing even more people ready to get out and walk, bike, and run while respecting our stay-at-home orders. That's why I'm so glad that the mayor is implementing suggestions from my memo that will provide better and safer opportunities for our San Diegans. By expanding street access for pedestrians and bikes while not impeding residential and emergency access, we can move about more safely, and the city can study long-term opportunities for our environment. A clear analysis on the possibilities could inspire a vision for the San Diego of tomorrow, one that prioritizes walkability and more open green space for our communities. That is a goal of our Climate Action Plan and a priority for me as chair of the Environment Committee. And I want to let you know, as a physician, what our latest information indicates about this most contagious virus of all time. First of all, virus particles are droplets that can spread out from sneezes, coughs, and sweat as much as 27 feet or more, depending on the breezes. Next, people who have no symptoms of illness may be infected with and spreading the virus unknowingly. So please remember that as of this Friday, May 1st, if you do go outside, it is mandatory to wear a mask for the safety of yourselves and others. When you leave your place, cover your face. We would like to hear from you as to your recommendations of potential further slow street destinations. For my District 2 residents, please email or call my office with your suggestions. And thank you again, Mayor Faulkner, for instituting these new measures. I hope to see the positive impact they have on our city. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next up, I'd like to introduce the Policy Director for Circulate, which is Circulate San Diego, Maya Rosas. Maya, thank you for all of your help and support on this new pilot program. Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor, for bringing forward the Slow Streets pilot program today and for everything you're doing for San Diego during this crisis. Transportation is essential, and the importance of being able to travel to work or the grocery store safely has never been more clear. Vision Zero is San Diego's goal of ending all traffic fatalities and serious injuries. And while the meaning of safe streets during a pandemic has expanded from how we thought about it before, the basic idea holds true. Streets should be safe for everyone, whether you're walking, bicycling, riding a scooter, or driving. With slow streets, San Diegans will be able to walk in the street to avoid walking too close to other pedestrians in the sidewalk without worrying about oncoming traffic. This is especially needed in our older and more urban neighborhoods where sidewalks may be narrow and make it impossible to pass someone safely on the sidewalk with 6 feet. However, safety is everyone's job, and we must promote safe driving and travel to help keep our streets safe for everyone. We are excited that the mayor is bringing forward this initiative, and the Slow Streets Coalition that is supporting this effort, which includes Bike San Diego, Climate Action Campaign, City Heights CDC, the Bike Coalition, Circulate San Diego, and many more, are eager to support the expansion of this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya. And next, I'd like to introduce the chair of the city's mobility board, Andy Hanshaw, who is joining us virtually. Andy, welcome. Glad you're here. You may be on mute, Andy. We'll give you a second. We can see you. All of us spend a lot of time asking people to go on and off mute these days. I don't, can you hear us, Andy?
I can. Can you hear me?
You're great. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. And I'm pleased to be joining you from my virtual social distance. Thank you, Mayor Faulkner and Councilmember Campbell, for your leadership in guiding our city through this difficult time. We are grateful for your efforts and for working with us and our coalition of mobility, environmental, and community organizations on providing safe outdoor spaces for residents to access their jobs and essential needs by biking and walking. These include the existing commuter bikeways that are also making these connections. We look forward to working with all council districts to determine other streets that meet their own community needs. Since the COVID-19 outbreak began, we have seen a significant increase in bicycling as a means for people to move about for essential needs with their families who are exercising and enjoying our outdoors together. In fact, our area bike shops are reporting increased business activity, and we are grateful to see these classified as essential businesses that continue to operate. As a result of our current situation, the opportunity to provide and expand mobility options for all residents across the city has never been more important, and we must continue to implement not only these temporary solutions, but also our planned projects meant to keep these options available for the future. We look forward to continuing to work together as we get through this, and we are here to offer our support to expand these slow streets, to expand the network for the health and safety needs for all San Diegans. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate all of your hard work. And finally, it's my pleasure to introduce Matthew Casablancas, who is co-director of policy for the Climate Action Campaign. Matthew, thank you for all your help.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Vasilakis, co-director of policy at Climate Action Campaign. CAC has a simple mission to stop the climate crisis. And today is a positive step forward in reimagining how we design our streets, how we move people around safely, and with smaller carbon footprints. I want to thank the mayor and council and city staff for working together to implement the Slow Streets initiative in response to the tragic coronavirus crisis. I also want to thank the organizations that have worked hard to advocate for slow streets, especially Bike SD, for spearheading this effort. Slow streets will provide much needed space for pedestrians, cyclists, scooters, and skateboarders, enabling San Diego families to make necessary trips and ensure essential workers can commute safely while keeping their distance. Through this initiative, the city is not only showing a desire to innovate and rethink how we make our city a better place to live, work, and play. They are also demonstrating a commitment to a more sustainable and climate-friendly modes of transportation. This will help us reach our transportation goals outlined in our climate action plan, clean our air, and better our public health. Pilot Phase 1 will allow us to experiment, collect feedback from the community, and process lessons learned, so that as we move into Phase 2 of Slow Streets, we have even more members of the community partnering with the city to create the community spaces that we need. We understand there is no roadmap for this historical moment, and we applaud the mayor and council for joining cities across the country in making our streets more climate safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And again, thank you to all and council member and all of the council members. Looking forward to this pilot project. It's going to begin starting tomorrow. Topic number 2, and my final topic today, is our continued efforts to highlight San Diegans stepping up in this great time of need. And today I would like to highlight 2 very special San Diegans who step up to relay the essential information that we share here at this daily briefings. In the upper right corner of your screen is Raneem, who is our sign language interpreter, and she signs what we say here to the thousands of San Diegans who rely on American Sign Language to help communicate. But what many of you may not realize is that this is actually a 2-person team. And so if you look on your screen, you're now going to see our second interpreter, KJ. Hello, KJ, who has been interpreting for 18 years. She translates what we say here at the podium verbatim for Raneem, who is deaf. And that means sometimes she spells out words for Raneem. From there, she uses sign language, gestures, and facial expressions so that any deaf San Diegan, regardless of education level or background, can understand. These 2 special San Diegans have been with us for just about all of these updates, as I think you all know. So we make sure that all San Diegans are staying safe. They are both disaster response interpreters who were trained for the tough times like these. So I think it's important that we make this information easily accessible, and that means, of course, to everyone. Because when we get through this pandemic, and we will, it will be because all of us worked together. So a special thank you to KJ and Raneem. We all thank you. Thank you for all of your hard work. If you see a San Diegan stepping up, please share it with us by using the hashtag San Diegan Steps Up. And now I'm happy to open up questions from any members of the media.
And the first question for today comes from Laura Acevedo.
Hello, Laura.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you for taking my question. My question was about the slow streets. Where will we be able to find the full list of streets, and how will that work? Does it go effect immediately?
It will. We're going to start tomorrow, and the streets will be on the city's website. We're starting with about 2.5 miles of streets, again, recommended by council members in their council districts. So looking forward to the pilot program.
And the next question comes from Andrew Bowen.
Hello, Andrew.
Hi. So I'm wondering, can you give some more details about how these slow streets will actually be marked? Will there be traffic cones set up on one of the edges, and how will people know exactly that they're driving on a slow street? And then some of the advocates you're speaking with today were hoping for the full automation of pedestrian cross signals, not just replacing the small buttons with larger ones.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering why replace the buttons? Why not just go fully automated?
You know, a good question. I'll answer the second part first. Replacing a lot of them is, again, from the smaller buttons that you have to use your fingers, so you can use the larger buttons with your arm or elbow. We'll be starting with those. We are, to get to that part of your question, looking at the automated ones as well, because I think that will be helpful as well. So I think we're going to see a rollout and a combination of all of these metrics that I think is going to help. And secondly, on the individual streets, we'll have different configurations, again, based upon the selection that the council members have put forward in their districts. Again, that listing will be on the map, and all of the signage for those individual streets will be out and put in place, again, to encourage that extra walking ability, to still, obviously, to have safety for vehicles. And so all of those signages and others will be dependent upon the street and the location where it is.
Could I just ask a quick follow-up? So are there any lanes of parking or travel lanes that are going to be eliminated and given over to pedestrians or bicyclists, or is it purely just limiting the throughput by kind of cutting off some of the intersections?
Yeah, no, good question. Some of the bike lanes, bikeways will be reinstated where some of those that have been closed for a bit. So those will go back to normal operations. And in terms of the parking, the intent was to do so you do not eliminate parking while doing this. There may be a couple of areas where there might be a reduction of a couple of spaces or two, but again, it was designed to, how do you keep parking? How do you improve access to walk and bike on certain streets that lend themselves to that? And then encourage people to come out into a safer place that you just have more access to walk around. Again, I thank all the council members who looked at their neighborhoods and said, this street probably lends itself better than others. That's why we're doing a pilot, to see how it works. And I think it's a good opportunity, as I said, particularly for San Diegans, because we want to be able to get out, walk around more, not just, of course, during what we're dealing with COVID-19, but perhaps other opportunities, as we've seen in other places, that when you open it up and you do it right, it encourages neighbors to come out, encourages people to see that and have that space, but also do it in a manner that makes sense, so you're not cutting off circulation in other places of the city. Thank you. With that, I want to thank all of our speakers who are here today. I want to thank KJ and Raneem for what they're doing. Great to highlight you all for stepping up. And looking forward to being back with you all tomorrow for the daily update. Thank you very much.